We just had a great day in the Wisconsin whitetail woods. This is my 2019 Wisconsin whitetail archery buck, and that was all great. You know, we had a really good time. The hunt, I say we, me. My wife's out here filming, so I'm including her in this too. I wanted to bring up a strategy, and you know, just short, this thing came through in the wind this morning, kind of sneaking through the goldenrod. It was so windy up here and cold, and I was just kind of huddled in, and all of a sudden I heard something over to my right, and he was 15 yards away. And so, long story short, didn't have a chance to turn the camera on. He was right there. And when you have a mature buck at less than 15 yards, I ended up making a shot about 10 yards. You just can't play around moving the camera or anything like that. I shot him, he ran 60 yards, he died right there, the stand's right there. It was an awesome morning. So I'm truly excited. You know, if you watch the channel, I work at this all year. And so to find a buck like this and have him come through on this morning on November 5th has been awesome. And I try to make a strategy out of everything I do. And that's why you'll never see probably, you know, I'll never have a title of Jeff Sturgis 150-inch 10-point or whatever it might be, because there's got to be a strategy with it. I want this to help you guys out. And one of the strategies that I thought of today that is really tough for some people is what kind of scent to use. What kind of scent to use for a lure and for an attraction. Now folks, I can honestly say I shoot 1, 2, 3 big bucks every year. That's what I love chasing, and shoot a bunch of does depending on when it's needed or not. But for bucks and for hunting, going back decades, I haven't used scent. And so what is the best scent? To me, no scent. And I'll explain a few reasons why. First reason, a lot of people rely heavily on using scent. I think sometimes, whatever it might be, a doe decoy, rattling, grunting, whatever you're using as a lure or as an attractant, people put so much faith in that attractant, including scent, that they forget about hunting the wind, hunting rutting areas during the rut, hunting morning areas that are bedding areas, hunting evening areas that are food sources, hunting tree stands that fit the time of the day, let alone the time of the season, the time of the rut even. You know, right now, we're just starting to get out of that lockdown phase on November 5th. The bucks, mature bucks, almost every buck in the woods has a doe the first few days of November. And so there's really not a lot of moving around. But once that breaks, these big boys start coming from a long ways away. We think this buck is from about 3/4 mile away, a half mile away, and we have pictures of him on another property. And he's moved. We haven't seen him all year over here, and this is the time where they're really starting to move. So relying on the scent too much can get into trouble because there's so much else that goes into it. Number 2, your stand location. Once I get to my stand, in this case, the scent is blowing out into open field, the thermals are going up, I don't expect any deer to smell my scent in this location because I'm blowing my scent into a non-deer area. I'm hunting the edge, I'm hunting on the edge where whitetails move, and you know, here's a 10-yard shot this morning. And so, stand location. Once I get to that stand, I expect my scent to be blowing into a non-deer area. So how do I use a lure to attract a buck to that scent? Or some type of attractant, some type of gel or paste or dripper or whatever it might be. At that point, once I get to my stand, I almost have a panic. I want to get up in my stand and I want to get ready in case anything walks by. While I was getting ready this morning, I had a little doe that came through and got his picture on the camera. And I wasn't making any noise. I was moving very slow. I wasn't on the ground getting ready. I wasn't on the ground putting out scent bombs or sprays or gels or drippers or whatever it might be. I was just purely getting in my stand and in almost a panic, not touching the base and getting ready so I don't spook anything in the area. So last thing I want to do is the wind's blowing out into a field, it's blowing a crosswind, it's blowing wherever. I don't want to go 20 yards past my stand, 30 yards, leave all my scent all over the place in an area where I didn't expect the deer to be anyways, and then put out a scent dripper or something, let alone if I want to look into the wind where I expect a deer to come crossways or come through on my upwind side where I'm not going to spook them. And I don't want to go 30, 40 yards out and put an attractant or 20 yards out to stop them when they come through. What if they don't like it? When you have these older bucks, four-year-old bucks, and a 4-year-old is a mature buck because that's when it reaches its skeletal size and frame, and that's when it stops growing body weight. Now it puts weight on, grows into an old man at 8, 9, 10 years old, if it ever makes that far, which is very unlikely. But they cannot stand things that are out of place, that might even be a smell that they're just not familiar with, even if it is natural, some kind of natural scent. I don't want the deer, if that scent is close to me, and it has to be if you're putting it out on the way to your stand or at your stand, and this is a third major point, is I don't want a deer to look at me. I don't want them to ever pay attention to me, let alone if I have that scent on me, it's even worse. If that scent is in front of me 10 feet or 20 feet or 30 yards, I don't want a buck to come through and turn his head towards me. I don't want to draw attention to myself, and that goes with different types of cover-up scent. If it's too strong for a buck, if you're drawing attention to yourself, skunk scent, fox scent, whatever it might be that they're not used to in that specific spot. And even a fox or a skunk, whatever it might be, when they go by, they're still going to look that way. If they smell that animal, if they smell that type of urine, they're still going to look that way if there's a smell associated with it. So I like to blend into the woods. For me, using scent of any kind is not appropriate for my hunting strategy. Looking back to all the bucks I've had encounters with, all the great bucks I've been able to shoot, going back decades, none of them came to scent. Even when I used scent back in the 90s, late 80s, I can remember using scent, buying some a popular doe urine in the late 80s, and let's say it was $14, $16, I don't know how much it was, but it was too much for me to spend at that time as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old that could hardly afford gas money. And I bought that, and what do? I open the bottle, I put a little bit out. Don't see anything for a half hour, well, I put a little bit more out. And I still remember the guilty feeling of the fact that I emptied that whole bottle on a scrape or a rub or whatever I found out in the woods as a 17-year-old back in 1987 or a 16-year-old. And I'd wasted that money. And of course, nothing came in. And so I haven't used much scent since that time. I do like using no scent cover-up sprays. I use a Limit-Shield. I use their spray, their foams, body wash, clothing wash, and the XD10, where you can actually take your clothes and put it in a cooler of water, let it soak, throw it in the dryer. It's supposed to last for 50 washings. So I believe in no scent. I believe in leaving no scent behind. And to me, most of the time, that does not include some type of attraction, whether it's natural, synthetic, or not. I want to blend into the woods. I want to try to be the ultimate predator. Us humans are bumbling. We're not like a big cat sneaking through the woods. It could probably go through a herd of deer out here and they wouldn't even know. We need all the tricks we can get, and the biggest trick to me is simply blending in. And again, my best scent, my favorite scent to use in the woods is absolutely nothing at all. And if you look up the best mock scrape scent, I think you could probably see where this is going, but my favorite mock scrape scent, and I have more mock scrape videos than anyone online. And if you look up mock vine scrapes, hanging scrapes, mock scrapes, YouTube, Google, you'll find all my stuff. You look at my playlist on my YouTube channel, you'll find all of it. And my favorite mock scrape scent is nothing at all. I love preorbital gland scent from the deer they leave. I believe a deer can go by and smell that licking branch, does, fawns, mature bucks, and they can smell all of them that have been there within the last several days, whether 20, 30 deer. Their ability in their nose is just incredible compared to ours. Again, going back to we're bumbling humans. But think about it. Doesn't matter what you're doing, trying to blend into the woods. And speaking of blending into the woods, it's getting late right now in the woods, and the sun's starting to set over the ridge over there. We need to get this buck out of here, get back home, and I hope you have a great hunt this year. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble about the scents. I know there's going to be some bashing in the comments below, and feel free to, but it's just something I don't believe in. I have a long history of shooting the oldest bucks in the neighborhood and shooting mature bucks, and I've been doing it for decades without scent. And hey, if nothing else, it's a lot more convenient.